introduce our next esteemed guest speaker.
Yes, very excited na ako to hear from them. If kanina we saw how the Philippines plays a crucial role as a dependent middle power, now we will tackle naman cybersecurity and how to protect ourselves in this digital age.
I think very crucial siya partner, especially in a series of cybersecurity and data breaches that we experienced, especially last 2023. Millions of Filipinos' personal information from government servers were actually compromised.
Dito natin makikita na yung state of Philippines when it comes to cybersecurity, and curious talaga ako as cybersecurity is still at its infancy stage as of 2022 according to the Department of Information and Communications Technology.
Not only that, diba, we also received a question earlier about technological warfare. So those are like big questions that we also want to answer along with projects using artificial intelligence. So should they even be using programs with automatic target recognition and combat and such? So I think there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, there's so many sides of cybersecurity nga, partner, that we have yet to answer or grasp as a concept. And I think our second speaker would really help us with that. He is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Commerce, major in Business Management, with a master's and doctoral degree in Information Technology. Currently, he is taking up his PhD in Computer Science in TIP Manila.
Good
Also,
morning.
sige. Good morning.
Good afternoon, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Good morning, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Can we
Sir?
from Dr. Marlon? Ayan po.
Okay. Can you give me so I can do screen sharing?
Yes, sir. Ayan.
Pasensya na. I'll just share my screen. Screen 2. Okay, can you see my presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, thank you very much for inviting me in this forum. So my topic is about cybersecurity. So as we gather to address some of these pressing challenges and opportunities, specifically in technology and national security. So I'll be going through some of geopolitics and focus on cybersecurity. My focus will be on the Philippine side as we engage in digital global revolution, how we face the different cyber threats that could impact our future growth, stability, and security. Currently, digital age offer unprecedented opportunities for development and connectivity. Nakikita ba yung presentation? Okay lang po ba?
Yes po,
Hello?
sir. We can see.
Yes, sir.
The problem is,
We can see it po.
okay, this introduces complex vulnerabilities, particularly in critical infrastructures, which are actually lifeline of our nation's functionality and prosperity. So I will be exploring vulnerabilities across key sectors. This will include communication and information system, energy infrastructure, and automated election systems. These areas are actually very integral in our national well-being. And as you may see, they are often targets of sophisticated cyber attacks. Not only this threatens our operational continuity. So I hope I can illuminate you with the current landscape of cyber threats, reflecting on the broader implication of our society. Okay, your topic is about geopolitics, but let's discuss about the geopolitics of the internet. Global governance, including the internet, is actually currently experiencing a significant debate on the structure and control, which is actually divided into two opposing paradigms. The first paradigm is called open and distributed internet. Open and distributed internet. This paradigm advocates for a global, unrestricted internet where governance is decentralized. So we will see here that it emphasizes on promoting innovation and free flow of information without any central control. This model is often associated with our Western partner or Western democratic values that prioritize individual privacy and freedom of expression. The other paradigm is actually called partition and centrally managed internet. So from the name itself, centrally managed internet, conversely, this model favors a more controlled and regulated internet. It is actually characterized by state oversight. Now, between the class of paradigm, there is a tension among nations, particularly when it comes to the deployment of the new internet infrastructure. For instance, I'll give you an example. Several countries, including the USA, UK, India, and Canada, have actually raised concern regarding the use of Chinese telecom equipment. I think you know this. Their apprehension stems from Chinese laws that mandate all organizations and citizens to cooperate with state intelligence operation, which is actually potentially gives the Chinese government undue access to international data through this equipment. And we know for a fact that this one very good example of this company is Huawei. So this poses a very significant threat to data sovereignty. That is the principle that data should be subject to laws and governance structure within the nation it is located. Now, in response to these concerns, critics of Chinese telecom company argue that even though the telecom companies using this technology claim that data encryption can protect internet traffic, the risk of embedded backdoors, mind the term backdoors in hardware or software remains. So there is a threat of backdoors lying around in this type of systems. These backdoors can potentially be used for spying, unauthorized data collection, or other type or forms of cyber espionage. So there is an ongoing dispute on the impact of how countries interact, collaborate on technology and data governance. Now let's talk about our Philippine settings, the Philippine cybersecurity landscape. Our country actually faces significant challenges with digital or the rapid digital growth and internet and mobile connectivity. Whether our internet is low or fast, we are still connected to it. And there is a saying in our field, in our industry, whenever you are connected to the internet, you are a target. So the current cybersecurity landscape in the Philippines highlights significant digital advancement, but also increasing cybersecurity risk due to this advancement. If you look at this diagram, the Philippines is actually ranked 45th out of 164 countries, out of 164 countries. So you will see the different cyber attacks, the different scores by the index. The Philippines has the highest. It is actually fifth highest among the East and Southeast Asian countries in terms of cyber threats. I think you already know the big impact of COVID-19 in terms of digitalization. Any previous perception that, example, the luxury, limited privilege has been actually be eroded by the thought that the COVID pandemic have done in terms of access to the network or to the internet. Many enterprises during the COVID-19 were forced to enable what we call as online digital workspaces that allowed their employees to work from home. Working from home leverages digital technology that moves business operation online, with employees clocking in virtually and business providing access to their internal network using VPN or virtual private networks, or any other similar solutions that make use of the internet. Employees and employers alike work from home. Imagine for 2 years we've done that. This type of setup actually created a market boom for online delivery services, even promoting some companies to pivot and cater to this demand. So example of this type of services is Grab. So I think right now you are still using Grab, even though pandemic is already done. So we have forced ourselves to shift focus from ride sharing to online delivery. Payments for deliveries are often through digital wallets. We use digital wallets such as GCash. So after all, one did not want to risk everything, but right now has shifted online. Before, Filipinos are actually afraid of using online commerce site. But after the pandemic, it shifted around. Most Filipinos would rather buy items online than going to big malls. So that is one effect of the pandemic. So cyber security is very, very critical. The growth in digital activities has heightened cybersecurity risk. We go online, we buy things like in Lazada, we order from Grab, but there are risks, cybersecurity risks, especially for example, our critical infrastructure, yung water natin, power and telecommunication. These are very, very essential for societal function. The pandemic has shown how crisis can be exploited by malicious actor to conduct cyber attacks, emphasizing on the need for a robust cybersecurity measures during vulnerable times. Cybersecurity policies and strategies are pivotal in attracting investment and facilitating citizens' participation, especially in this digital global economy. So there is always a risk, and cybersecurity issues a critical issue. Now, what is a critical infrastructure? So, or CI. So, by definition, CI refers to assets, system, and networks, whether physical or virtual, that are considered vital. Cybersecurity encompasses the protection of both publicly and privately owned or maintained resources. So these key sectors, such as energy, water, telecommunication, which are considered critical infrastructure, necessitates the implementation of stringent cybersecurity measures. This definition can differ from one country to another. You have to take that into account. It is different from one country to another, given that what is considered critical or essential for one nation may not be the same for the other. So the classification of critical infrastructure can also change over time. But however, a common feature across various jurisdictions that this infrastructure, CI, are vital to the continuous delivery of services that are essential to everyday life in a country. So the Philippines critical infrastructure are defined by the government. Due to its importance, critical infrastructure becomes a target of cyber threat. Over the last decade, cyber attacks is being used to disrupt the operation of infrastructure such as water, power grids. So there are malicious actors or individual hackers trying to hack into this system, cause chaos. These hackers can either be government sponsored or nation state. So there are different types of groups that attack this critical infrastructure. So ano yung mga yon? You have the transportation, energy, water, health. If you look at the previous cyber attacks in the Philippines, you will see most of the target are government sites. Government sites. Now, why is it important to identify critical infrastructure from cyber attacks? Identifying and protecting critical infrastructures from cyber attack is crucial. Very, very crucial to ensure, number one, national security, economic stability, public safety. For national security, such as power grids, water system, defense installation, these are very fundamental to a nation's security and continuity. Cyber attacks on the system can lead to widespread disruption, affecting everything from communication to military operation. Such attack can also compromise national defense capabilities, making our country vulnerable to other further attacks or manipulation. Based on economic stability such as banking, finance, transportation, which are backbone of our country's economy, cyber attacks targeting this sector can result in financial losses, both directly through theft or data breaches and indirectly through the cost of recovery and decrease in consumer trust. So disruption in these economic areas can undermine example, investor confidence and economic growth. For public safety, such as health system, emergency system, or services, utilities such as electricity and water are critical for maintaining public and health safety. The problem, if this infrastructure are attacks, such as the healthcare system, they can result in loss of sensitive data, disruption of medical services, and the risk of example, patient safety. Compromises in this area, the emergency services and utilities, can hinder responses or response time during crisis. Next, how about continuity of services? Critical infrastructure such as telecommunication, electricity, water supply are actually foundational to the daily functioning society. Protecting this infrastructure from cyber attack ensures that essential services remain operational and uninterrupted. Then you have your trust and reliability. Effective cybersecurity measures are essential to build trust among citizens who rely on these services for example, for their daily activities and personal safety. Next, you have your compliance and legal obligation. Right now, many countries are establishing or have established regulation and standards that require the protection of critical infrastructure from cyber threat. Did you know that the Philippines has its own cyber warriors? Example, yung tawag dito, National Cyber Security Command Center, the Cyber Security Group of the AFP. Actually, they came yesterday in our school to visit our cyber range training facilities for our students in ethical hacking. So there are people who are now trying to protect our country, but they need more training. They need more training. Okay, do you still remember this one? Anyone has any idea about this one? Anyone? Meron po bang nakakaalala dito? This is actually Mr. Biteng. Paul Biteng. He was the one who committed the Comelec leak or Comelec in March 27, 2016. He was part of the anonymous Philippines hacking group. So what they did is they hacked into the Comelec website and downloaded the list of voters. Actually, he was not the one who downloaded it, but some of his friends whom he taught how to do it. In the end, yung NBI na wala din yung kaso. Wala din yung kaso. Si Biteng is now working actually in cybersecurity. Nag-work siya sa cybersecurity ngayon. Then you have this one. PhilHealth ransomware attack. This happened, kailan po? Kailan nangyari ito? In July. Ang nangyari, PhilHealth was attacked using a ransomware. So what happened is that the data in the PhilHealth servers were encrypted and they were ransomed. It means that the data can only be unencrypted once you pay the amount asked by the attacker. And that amount is through Bitcoin. It amounted to 300,000. This happened when I was in Japan during the Asian Conference on Cybersecurity. And we heard about this in Japan. Then we look at the news. So we went to the dark web, and there we found that it was really true. They posted actually some data from PhilHealth members in the dark web. And the latest one, the attack on DOST, their website was actually defaced. Right now, the most common threat for cyber threats are malware. These are malicious software designed to harm or exploit device or network. Then you have this type, ransomware. This is basically a malware that locks or encrypts your data. Then the attacker will demand for a ransom or payment to decrypt your data. Then you have your spyware. These are software which enable users to obtain covert information about another's computer activities. Then your basic viruses. Then phishing. This is actually a fraudulent attempt to obtain sensitive information by disguising as a trustworthy entity in a communication. Example, in an email. Another very good example is a spear phishing target using an email. Example, yung bangko. They will ask for your password without knowing that that is not the real bank. Then you have your password attack. So what is the implication of cyber attacks in the Philippines? If you think about it, the implication of cyber attack in the Philippines is significant and multifaceted. We can say that this attack not only have direct economic costs, but also affect our nation on a societal level. Cyber attacks by state or non-state actors on critical infrastructure can undermine our national security and impact our economic activities. So if you look at these threats, they may originate online on the internet. They can have consequences that extend beyond the digital realm into physical spaces. Now, moreover, there are strategic concerns regarding critical infrastructure. For instance, the involvement of Chinese firms in the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines has raised security concerns among Filipino policymakers, especially given the geopolitical tension in the South China Sea. These worries underscore the potential strategic vulnerabilities that can be exploited via cyber means. So, makikita niyo yan. The country also faces challenges in enhancing cybersecurity measures across various sectors, including the energy, where there is a robust need for cybersecurity infrastructure and protection. Cybersecurity vulnerabilities have a profound impacts on us, the general public. That is reflecting on the different range and issues in terms of one, privacy concerns, which undermines our societal trust. You have your privacy violation, wherein personal data is compromised due to cybersecurity breaches. One very good example is the PhilHealth data breach. What happened there? It exposes individual identities. These identities can be used for identity theft and fraud. Such incidents can lead to unauthorized transaction. I'll give you one example. Yung isang teacher na identity theft, ginamit yung data niya to do a loan. Nabigla na lang yung teacher, may dumating na bill sa kanya. So, very, very, tawag dito, critical yon. Then you have your financial loss. Cyber attacks such as phishing scam, yung sinabi ko kanina, ransomware, or other attacks involving banking attack using Trojans can directly target individual financial assets. The other effect is trust erosion. That means data breaches becomes more frequent, public trust is in digital services and platform diminishes. That is one reason companies, when they are attacked, when their company is compromised and data breaches, they are afraid to report the attack because of trust erosion from their customers. Then you have your social manipulation, that is proliferation of social media through widespread misinformation. This can actually manipulate public opinion. Now, how do we mitigate this attack from the public risk perspective? One, we should enhance our data protection. Improving data protection involves several layers. This includes encryption, secure software development practices, regular security audits, that is a periodic assessment of our security infrastructure to identify and rectify vulnerabilities before they can be exploited by attackers. Then you have public education, very, very important. This is awareness and education, which is actually key in empowering individual to protect themselves against cyber threat. How can we do this? We can do a cyber training, awareness campaign. Then legal framework. There should be a strong legal frameworks to ensure accountability and protection at the organizational and individual level. That means you have privacy law, data breach notification, community vigilance. All of this can be part of mitigating public risk. Another effect of this another effect is on our Philippine politics. Cyber security vulnerabilities can pose significant risk to our political landscape in our country. It can impact everything from election integrity to national security. Example, in our election security, cyber vulnerabilities can affect the security and reliability of electronic voting systems, which could lead compromise election outcome. You have also the integrity of the voting system. Example, if an hacker managed to breach the electronic voting system, they can actually alter vote counts. They can tamper with voter registration data. This can impact election result. Political manipulation. That is, the attacker can manipulate the political disclosure, which could have far-reaching consequences. One such consequences is the leaking of sensitive information, disinformation campaign, infrastructure disruption. So how do we mitigate this? How do we implement mitigation or to to mitigate or give strategies? Number one, we must address this vulnerability in a contextual based on our political requirements, which is actually multifaceted. We can do this by strengthening our cyber infrastructure. How do we strengthen our cyber infrastructure? We upgrade and secure our cyber infrastructure. We do system upgrades. We implement advanced security measures. Then we must have the backing of the legislation and the policy-making bodies. We should have comprehensive cybersecurity laws. Remember that. We should have comprehensive cybersecurity laws. We must develop laws that specifically address the different spectrum of cybersecurity threats. They can actually target political and government systems. We must have regular audits. These audits should be mandated for political parties, government bodies to ensure compliance with security standards. And this can help us identify vulnerabilities before they can be exploited. Cybersecurity can have far-reaching and damaging effect on the Philippine economy, on our country. Number one, it can actually affect our economy in terms of lost productivity, theft of intellectual property, data destruction, recovery costs. Then it can impact investment. The impact in investments can affect deterrence of what we call as foreign direct investment. These are investors looking for stability and security when deciding for foreign investment. Then it can increase operational costs. The most important part is actually trust and reliabilities. Companies suffering from cyber attacks may be viewed as less reliable or secured. This will push customers towards other competitors. We can address these issues by means of, one, government support. We should have a national cybersecurity strategies. Right now, we have the National Cybersecurity Plan. It's actually a 5-year plan. Every 5 years, ina-update yan. So the government is developing and implementing comprehensive cybersecurity policies. There should be subsidies and tax incentive. So these are different mitigation that we can use to protect ourselves. If you look at the presentation, the last part is education and training. Why po? Right now, the Philippines is lacking cybersecurity experts. And in order to mitigate this, the government should help the academe to create cybersecurity program that can be offered as a course in the BS or master's degree. The problem now is, right now, CHED doesn't have any CMO on cybersecurity program. Only universities that have autonomous status can offer the course. So, dapat po makapag-create tayo ng training at makapag-produce tayo ng cybersecurity experts na tutulong sa ating bansa. Now, how do we safeguard our cybersecurity? Number one, in terms of government strategies, we must have legislative and regulatory framework, which right now, na ginagawa natin, we are doing it right now. There are laws being promulgated to apply this regulatory framework. Then you have the national cybersecurity agencies. Currently, this is under our DICT, and they have their national SOC or National Security Operations Center, in which any cyber attack are from different government institution or services, especially critical infrastructure, are monitored under the DICT SOC and SOC, or National Security Operation Center. Now, from my experience, this is what I've seen. Different departments, agencies under our government, such as the AFP, Navy, Air Force, they have their own different cyber teams. Walang tao dito, central. Walang central. Example, in the Army, they have CSAP, the Cyber Command Group. Iba pa yung nasa Air Force, iba pa yung nasa Navy. So there is no central authority. Iba yung ginagawa ni DICT. They do different things. They do NSOC. They do pen testing. There is a different, but there is no central authority. That's the problem I'm seeing in our cyber security. Then you have your critical infrastructure protection. So we must identify and designate the critical digital infrastructure. Now, how do we do this? We must mandate strict cybersecurity protocol by conducting regular audits. Then, this is very, very important. There should be international collaboration. Kagaya ng tawag dito, when I went to Japan for the ASEAN Cybersecurity Conference, there was a memorandum of agreement between different countries. Kasama tayo doon in the training and protection and implementation of cybersecurity framework. Next, we have the research and development. We should invest more in cybersecurity research because attackers are also doing their research. Then you have your incident response. Next, you have your public awareness. As I have said, we must teach and give awareness to the public about cybersecurity and internet safe practices. Next, we must have personal cyber hygiene. How do you protect yourselves? Do you use a strong password, unique password? Do you implement two-factor authentication? So these are very, very important. And we must have community engagement. So the key takeaway is very simple. The Philippine cybersecurity right now is in need of a unified, multi-layered approach that will involve significant government action, a robust legal framework, strategic national policies, and an active public-private cooperation. Should not only be the private sector, the public sector should be involved. Effective cybersecurity defense does not only protect individual and national interests, but also secures our country based on its economic stability and our international reputation. By implementing comprehensive strategies such as updating regulatory frameworks, mga batas natin, we can establish a national cybersecurity agencies that can be used to protect our critical infrastructure. This concerted effort will ensure the security and continuity of essential services that can actually bolster our cybersecurity posture. So it's very, very important to do this. Okay, thank you po.
And that's it. Thank you again, Sir Marlon, Dr. Marlon, that was more than helpful. It made such a complex topic much more understandable, especially siguro for students like us. So, now I really see to it now. I really see that in order for us to be able to protect ourselves from cybersecurity attacks and death threats, it really has to involve everyone. And we've heard kanina what are the root of the problems that we're encountering. So we need a strong legal framework for it, like to develop the laws, and we also need to strengthen our education system so that everyone really knows what's happening and how can they take part in it. What about you,
Yeah,
Fran?
that's right. That's right, partner. No, learning about cybersecurity, opened my eyes and a lot of the various issues that Filipinos face, which ultimately needs to be resolved. As mentioned by Dr. Tayag kanina, it is important for us to identify yung mga critical cyber threats and its effects to protect ourselves in terms of ensuring public safety, economic stability, and national security, which affects everyone else. And also to incorporate more on educating ourselves for us to have more experts in the same field in the near future.
Yes, so now that we have a more grounded knowledge about cybersecurity, um, it's time to open the floor for questions. But before we actually pick some of the questions that were already suggested, we want to reiterate that the questions in the earlier portion, so for the first speaker, the questions for that has already been answered by Mr. Baladhai. So you can view the answers there in the Q&A. But now let's begin
Yeah.
with starting it.
And so again, before we proceed to our delegates, you can send your questions for Dr. Tayag through the Q&A tab of our Zoom room. And however, we may not be able to accommodate all questions due to time constraints, but should we get the ball rolling, Abby?
Yes, let's try. So, first one, this is so for Dr. Marlon, this is in regards to in relation to the common leaks earlier. Do you believe that cybersecurity attacks could possibly also be state sponsored? Would that be more dangerous than attacks from non-state actors?
Okay, that is a very good question. Right now, state-sponsored attack is the most dangerous type of attack in though fact that state-sponsored hackers, and they do attack our country, the Philippines. If you go if you look for cyber attacks, you will see the biggest attack or cyber threat that was done to a country came from cybersecurity hackers coming from China. One very good example is in Ukraine, in the US for their election, the presidential election. So suffice it to say that yes, it's a big threat if they can actually affect our electoral results. So we have to be aware of that, and we need a way to protect ourselves from that. That is what I am always saying to the government when they are inviting me to speak, that we need more people, more experts to train, and these people can protect us. Okay.
Thank you for that, Dr. Tayak. So another question po, but in relation to the electoral system, Assistant Professor Remy De Leon asks, how concerned should we be about the previous elections results and the results of upcoming elections, given that it is one of our vulnerabilities in the electoral system?
When the Comelec first came out, Comelec was actually saying that the data that was breached is actually publicly accessible. Okay, they admitted to that it is publicly accessible, But the problem is this one. When that happened, the Comelec happened, is actually a call for us to be vigilant and to upgrade our systems. Most of our systems right now, yes, sir.
Oh, sorry. I was going to follow up, but I know
Sige po, sir.
my data is part of the Comileaks problem. So I'm a victim myself. I'm also
Yes, sir.
wondering how unsafe I am at this point.
Yes, sir. Actually, sir, when that came up, Comelec was denying that the data is not publicly identifiable data, or because they said that it is already in public. The list of voters only includes the name and the voters ID, the where they will be voting, and that can be downloaded from their website. But from our perspective in our group, because I'm also part of an hacking group, ethical hacking group, and I know for a fact and that the data that was hacked contains other data, and most of them were posted in the dark web. The problem lies in the systems, the infrastructure being used by the government. If you look at it right now, most of the attacks sa mga tawag dito, mga hacker, they are actually attacking more and more government agencies. Yung last nga is PhilHealth, di ba? So we need to strengthen our systems, our hardware, and I'm glad naman is the ICT is working on that. Ang problem lang is yan, kagaya niyan, the election is coming. They are questioning the new system na naman. Hopefully, yung mga website that will host the different data and information of the people, the electorate, are hardened para hindi po ma-hack. Ganun po. Yun ang problem ngayon. So hopefully po maayos. Okay, sir? Hello po.
Okay. Ayan. I hope Sir Remy was also able to get your answer. Thank you po for that. Let's proceed with the third question. So we have two more, sir, for
Opo.
the interest of time. And then the others will just try to email, as mentioned kanina and as promised. So, as a faculty member teaching cybersecurity, what are the key challenges you see preparing students to address the unique cybersecurity threats faced by the Philippines?
Okay. So, because cybersecurity is actually a skill-based. Ang problem is when we started our program for cybersecurity, hindi namin alam kung saan namin ilalagay yung program, whether it will be an IT. So right now our program is under the CS, computer science, because cybersecurity is basically amalgamation of the programming, networking, web development. Ang kulang na lang talaga is MC. Now, how do we train the students? Because cybersecurity is a skill-based, we must develop a skill-based approach in which the students can learn to do critical thinking. That is the goal. Most of what a hacker will do is done outside of the box. Kaya titrain natin sila. Now, what is important is when you do the training, skill-based. This will improve their technique. They will learn a lot. And hopefully, by the end of their course, matututo sila. And ang tawag dito, makakatulong sa atin because right now the country needs po a lot of cyber security expert. Do you know that every year DICT is hosting a hacking competition called Hack4Gov? Narinig niyo na po ba yun? Have you heard about that? Anyone?
This time po, on our end.
Not yet. Every year, there is a hacking competition called Hack4Gov. Different universities around the countries are training students to learn hacking, and they compete. They compete on the regional level and national level. And hopefully, those students who wins can help us. They can join the government po. Okay?
Thank you for that, Dr. Tayag. So for our last question for today's forum, just curious, what cyber domain attacks look like during an actual shooting war? I'm assuming cyber attacks might be quote-unquote first shots. Are there any signs of cyber attack po which we can look at as signs that a physical attack might be coming soon before actual bullets start firing?
Actually, cyber security sa military sense, ito I know this from my military friend. They think of cyber security as the port domain ng branch ng military. So if a shooting war comes, definitely the first thing that the target will be the infrastructure, the communication infrastructure or the critical infrastructure. So if all of those infrastructure are connected to a network or to the internet, definitely nation states attacker can target them. Now, how do we identify if that already happened? It is actually very, very hard to identify that. Some nation states, they do infiltrate countries and they put sleeper software or viruses on the network infrastructure or communication infrastructure of their target country. If a shooting war starts, they activate those sleeper software or viruses. But a very good IT or cybersecurity team can do example penetration testing, internal penetration testing, web pen testing, security audits to identify whether they have been compromised or not. That's the problem. So it boils down to the processes and procedure of a example of a nation. That's why it's very important to have a team. Example sa DICT, they have their NSOC, the National Security Operations Center, who monitors attack from different example nation state. They do auditing on the different national infrastructure, so that can help us. But identifying if the system has already been compromised, we can do that by means of auditing. But take this into account that we need to be vigilant. We need to prepare. That's the idea behind it. Okay. Okay, sir.
Thank you po, sir. So, one follow-up question lang daw po is, how do you think, like, how accurate are live cyber attack maps, if ever?
Can you repeat the question?
How accurate are live cyber attack maps daw po, sir, if ever?
Okay. Baka tumingin siya sa real live attack map, right? Ano kaya ang tinignan niya? Actually, they are very, very accurate. For example, anong ginagamit ko? Yung kay sa Cisco, they show live attack. They are actually accurate based on the data that they are getting from the different devices that they monitor. Ganun po yan. If you look at the different maps of cyber attack map, iba-iba yung pinapakita nila. It depends on the vendor. Kasi yung attack map na pinapakita nila is based on the data that is being gathered from their devices. And from their perspective, accurate naman yun. Okay?
Ayun po. Thank you po for
Uh,
letting us for answering that as well.
Opo.
So just some comments. So our speaker also said that if I were concur with Dr. Tayag, if I were to engage in warfare, my first goal is to paralyze my opponent's response time, compromising critical infra and systems. Ideally, those that can shut down government operations. So, ayun po. Now let's proceed with our next juncture. So, again, everyone, all your questions we will try to answer via email. And so, let's proceed, Francis.
Ayan. So thank you yet again to our participants and to our esteemed guest speaker for an insightful flow of discourse. We hope that your questions were answered. Abby?
We cannot allow our speaker's contribution to be unrecognized. So, Sir Tayag's insights regarding the current state of cybersecurity in the Philippines has really been eye-opening. In light of his academic contributions to the forum, we would like to award the certificate to Dr. Tayag for the insights that he has given.
This certificate of appreciation is awarded to Dr. Marlon Tayag for sharing the remarkable expertise and knowledge on cybersecurity in the Philippines as a speaker at the Science and Technology Policy Forum entitled Fortifying the Future, Strategies for Securing the Philippines Amidst Global Tech Competition, held on the 9th day of May 2024. May we ask with Dr. Tayag, along with Assistant Professor Remy De Leon.
Okay. Sige po. Smile po tayo. 1, 2, 3, smile. Ayan.